Hey guys, thanks for tuning in this video. Today I'm going to be going over certain string methods and properties that you use in JavaScript that I think every front-end developer should know. I'm going to try to keep this video short. Not feeling too well today. I might sniff a little bit in here, so I apologize for that. So the first one is pretty simple. It's called length. So I put a couple of different variables in here just for practice. So let's say for the first name variable, I want to see how long it is. What I could do is log out first name dot length, and you'll see we got 5. Name is David, and it's 5 characters. So that's a simple one. The next thing I have is char at or character at, and what this does is it pretty much returns the character at that index in the string. So let's say, for example, with this first name variable, I want to get the letter D, the first letter. What I can do is, again, this returns something. So you can say char at, and you say what position in JavaScript the index starts at 0. So if I wanted the first letter, I could say char at 0, and this should log out D right there. So you can do this for different things. Maybe if you know the index of the letter or word or whatever you're trying to grab, you can pull out one character of a string using char at, which can be very useful. Next one is concat. So this is good for concatenating strings, combining them. There's different ways you could do that. You can use like the plus operator. You can use the ternary, or not ternary, the template literals. But another way is the concat method. So let's say I have a first name and last name variables, and I want to make a new variable called first name, full name, that includes both. What I can do is say const full name equals first name dot concat, and then it's gonna literally combine them. It's not gonna automatically put a space, but pretty much this method lets you, everything you put in there in order, it will combine them. So if I want to put a space in there, I can do the parentheses with a space in the middle, comma, and then last name. And if I log this out, full name, I should get my full name, David Justice. So that's concat, another way to concatenate strings. Literally just log up so it's easier to just fill in. So another one we have on here, I kind of put a slash in between because there's kind of 2 different ways you do it. So there's index of and last index of. Index of, you'll probably notice that on array methods, but it returns the index of a string that you search in another string. So for example, let's say I want to find out where the letter, a capital, let's say I want to find the V in this first name. What I can do is I can do first name dot index of string B. And you see you get 2. You probably 1 and 2 again. If you remember JavaScript, the index starts at 0, not 1. So it's going to go 0, 1, 2. So the V is index 2. So that's good for that. If you want to get the index, you can use that again with the character or the char at method. That'd be useful. Once you get the index, you can save it in a variable and then pass it in there so you can pull it out. So that's a good use. But if you use the last index of, this one is good if maybe you have multiple letter V's in this name. I don't have that, but let's say you have more than one occurrence of a string inside a variable. You can try to get the last one. Maybe you don't want the first index of it, because that's what index of does. It's going to get you the first occurrence from left to right. With last index of, it's going to find the very last one in that string. That's the only difference. Next one is search. Search is good if you want to. It's come from ES6 release with JavaScript. So it doesn't work in Internet Explorer if you're worried about that. But pretty much what it does is, let's say I have, let's use the intro variable I put right here. And let's say I want to find my name, David, right there. If I want to see if this string has that, I could do search and put the string in there. So, and it's case sensitive, so you want to make sure you do that. And what it's going to do is see if it's in there, and if it is in there, it's going to return the index of where that string started. So if this works, you should get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If I count it right, I should get 14. You got 14. Cool. If it doesn't, it's going to return -1 if it doesn't include it. So that's search. Again, you may or may not use that. That's good. I like search if you're trying to look for like a name or a word versus like a character. For instance, like if I wanted to see if there's like a period in there, I probably wouldn't use that. But next one is replace and replace all. That's good. And I got a good example for it. Excuse me for my heat just cutting on. But let's just say I had this stupid sentence right here in this message variable. It says, I'll have some soda since everyone knows soda is good for you. And that's not true. So what I want to do is actually change all these soda variables, these soda words in here into water. So what I can do is I can say, again, you could assign this to a variable. So I could say let new message equal message dot replace. Now there's two versions of it. There's replace and there's replace all. If you only have one occurrence and you know that, then you can just use replace. It's gonna only, I believe it's the first one. If not, just definitely only one occurrence of what you put in there. Replace all will replace all of the occurrences of that string. So I don't know why it's not. For some reason it's not working. Let's try this to make sure this works. I'm gonna say water. Sorry, soda. But pretty much you put in the. Actually, let's just to make sure this is working. Let's just do replace, and then you're gonna put the thing that we're looking for. So we're looking for soda, and then the next parameter is gonna be what we want to replace it with, water. If I do this, if I console log this out, new message, what we're gonna get is it should only replace this one right here. I'll have some water since everyone knows. So see, it replaced the first occurrence. But if I do this, I don't know why VS Code is not recognizing it. But you can see it right there. I have some water since everyone knows water is good. So it does work. I don't know. I think it's called IntelliSense. I don't know what it's called. But pretty much it's not auto-populating, showing that as an option, but replace all as a method. And again, it replace all the occurrences of soda on there. So that's a useful one. Next one is split. So split is good for turning a string into an array. So let's say you could use this for several things. Let's say you wanted to, you can already figure out the length of this because again, I showed you this property called length and it'll tell you, but let's say that wasn't a thing and you wanted to turn this into an array so that you can count the length of the array. That's what split does. So I can say let array equal first name dot split, and then when you put inside this variable is going to be a string that's pretty much where it's going to separate the string into different items or elements in your array. So if you just do the parentheses, not the parentheses, the quotation marks with no space in it, it's going to separate each character. So this would be, if you do a space, it's gonna, this is good for maybe you have a sentence. It's going to create an array where each element is going to be a word in your array. if you put, let's say, I don't know, let's say you had a phone number and you had dashes in there, whatever you want to do, wherever you want the breaking point to be, that's what's going to go here. So if I do split and no space in between, just this should separate, we should get all the letters. And then what I'm also going to do is console.log array.length. Because again, length is not just a property in strings. We know it's a property on arrays. So now that we turn it into an array, we should be able to get the length of it. And you see now it's D, A, B, I, D. They're all separated in an array, and the length of the array is 5, which is the same answer we got when we did the string.length method. But again, just wanted to kind of show you that it does turn it into an array. So split is really useful for that. To uppercase, like itself implies, it will turn a variable or string into uppercase. So if I just do console.log first name dot to uppercase, you get David in all caps. But let's say you want to, and you see it in the next one, I'm not going to really show you it because it's self-implied, so I'll show you the uppercase. Maybe you have all capitals and you want to lowercase it, there's 2 lowercase. Now let's say you wanted to, I'll show you that at the end, some cool things you can do by combining. The next 2, I don't think a lot of people talk about, is pad start, pad end. And what that does is it puts a string in the, well, it depends which one you use. So if you use pad start, what it's going to do is it's going to put whatever you put inside the argument as the argument parameter. It's going to push that in front at the beginning of your string, and pad end will add it to the end. Now, one thing that people don't talk about is this only works based off of the number you pass in for the length of the string. So for instance, if I say number dot pad start, and I want to put let's say I want to put some plus marks. So you would think that's going to put 1 in front. Well, you should pass in a what you want to do first is, before this, is put how long the string is on there. So it will help to know how long the number is. So what I usually do is, like a little cheat, is I'll just do number dot length, so whatever it is now plus 1. Because if you just do the current length, it's not going to add anything. If it's not any more than what it is now, it's just going to, this thing that you're trying to add on only comes into play if you're missing an item for this length. So if we wanted this length to be 10 and that string was already 10, it's not going to add the plus sign. But if it was 9 and I told it I wanted to be length 10, it will add the plus sign. So what I usually do, if you want to keep everything in your string and you just want to add 1 or 2 or whatever, I just take the length of that variable and add whatever amount I want to add to it. So that will work. So let's say 2. So we should get 2 of them. So if I log this out, you see you get 2 plus signs on the front. So that's pad start, and pad end will do the same thing. Starts with and ends with kind of sounds similar, but it's not. They're not manipulating the variable. What you're doing is returning a boolean, so it'll say true or false depending on if that variable starts with or ends with whatever you pass in there. So if I say, let's say console.log first name, and then you'll do dot starts with, and we're going to say D. So it's really a question. That's really what you're asking, is does it start with it? And this should say true. and you're gonna get true. Now what's cool is when you do this, you can take another variable, let's say I said v, and I can say where I'm starting to search at. So you can give a position to where it starts at. So we know this has five items, I guess. The length is 5, and we know the index are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say we want to see if there's a v starting at 2, index 2, 0, 1, 2. So if I do 2, I believe this should return back true, and you get true. So you can not only just start at the beginning of it, or again, vice versa with the ends with, you can also give a position for where you're starting your search at. So that's the starts with, ends with methods. Next one is slice. This is really good if you want to take a slice out of or a piece out of a variable to create a new one. So let's say on this intro message, I want to just take out the hi word. What I can do is say let greeting equal intro dot slice, and then what you're going to do is you're going to give it the index that it starts at. So we're going to say 0, and then we're going to say what position we're stopping at. So this next index that you give is not going to be included. So you gotta remember that. I used to mess up with this, and I would give it an index. And I'm like, I would give it the index that I wanted to stop at, but I wanted to include. So what you want to do is this is 0, 1. We're not going to say 1 right here because that's going to not include the I. What you want to do is the next index, which would be 2. And console.log reading. And you get high. So that slice is good for pulling things out. And most of these methods you can see, they're not manipulating, most of them are not going to manipulate the current variable. What they're doing is returning something. So a lot of times you're going to assign this to a variable when you do this. Slice is not messing up intro. I pretty much assigned the return value of that method to greeting. Doesn't mess with the intro, doesn't mutate it. So trim is good for if you have extra spacing on the beginning or the end of your string. So let's just create a variable. Let's say I'll just make it simple. Let example equal, and we're going to say space 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 hi there space space. And then I'm going to console.log example, and I'm going to console.log example.trim, and you should see the difference. You see one is pushed over because it had all that spacing, and the other one removed the spacing in the front. This also, you don't see it because the spacing is all here. This is empty, but there's actual spacing back here, and it removed this as well. So trim is kind of like a shorthand. You can also do trim start and trim end if you want to just take off the front or the end spacing. So that's trim. Then there is the last one I have is includes, which is kind of like search, in the sense that it's looking to see if your string has that substring in it. However, it's not gonna search to return something. It returns the index that you found it at, and if it doesn't find it, returns -1. With the includes, what it's going to do is actually just return a boolean. It's just going to say true or false. So if I just say console.log, let's say intro dot includes, we're going to say hi. And then let's also do console.log intro that includes, we're going to say, I don't know, bananas. And you run this, you get true and you get false. So hi wasn't included in intro, but bananas wasn't. So that's includes. So that was what, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 16, and then they did sending. So about 18 different methods and properties. It's a good amount of them. That's not all of them. These are ones that I think everybody should know. There's a few other ones like match, and match all. There's a few other ones that I don't work with too much, but I wanted to give you guys a good introduction to some string methods. I hope this helped. If you have any questions or if there's any ones you think I should went over, please drop it in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.